pledge and a moment of silence. And Ron, would you lead us this morning, please?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, if we can have roll call, please.
Mr. Bartlett? Mr. Fowler?
Present.
Ms. Owens?
Here.
Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Seaman?
Here. Next item on our agenda is regular items to approve the agenda and approve the minutes from February the 23rd, 2021 meeting. We don't have an addendum today, so that's good. We'll go with the agenda as is. I need a motion and a second to approve the agenda and the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Pierce, seconded by Mr. Fowler. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bartlett? Absent. Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes. Public participation next. Don't have the public with us today, but a couple things that I noticed, and thank you, Marie, for including in your notes with the board packet. And Charlotte, you and Gary were both recognized by the OSBA Central Region at their spring conference for 10 years of service. So thank you for all your service. And for Gary, too.
Must be out celebrating.
Yeah. And then I also saw, Marie, congratulations on being recognized as the award recipient for Friend of the Adams Board.
Yes.
That's very thoughtful of them and certainly very deserving. So next item is financial report. Need a motion and a second, and then we can have discussion.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Fowler. I'll second it. And I'll let you, Laura, start.
Well, exciting times in the treasurer's office. I'm kidding. So as you look at the financial report, you see the bottom three lines, OSER, ESSER, and GEAR are negative. So I actually reached out to, that's typical this time of year. I wait till the end of the month, I submit a PCR. Well, the funds still haven't been paid, and it's March 23rd. And apparently I wasn't included in a newsletter that I'm now signed up for. Apparently being the contact of all the grants isn't enough. That for the ESSER and the OSER grants, the request for reimbursements received to date to ODE have temporarily exhausted appropriation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have to have a legislative fix that they're trying to rush through.
But
So
you can keep spending money is what I'm told. I'm like,
yeah, so what has happened is that the legislature sets a limit on the amount of money that the Ohio Department of Education can distribute, and they've hit that cap because of all the funding coming in. So they have to have a legislative fix to up the cap to allow funds they have sitting in a pot to be released to folks who have already posted for reimbursement. So that's where it is right now.
yeah,
And we're hoping in the next couple of weeks, it was supposed to be fixed by now.
yes.
There's obviously, everything takes longer than it should. And we're hoping shortly after Easter, it'll get fixed. So that's where that's at.
The GEAR funds are there. They actually, because we spent so much in 1 month, whenever you do that, like they like you to like gently spend the funds. Well, what's happened is because all the technology was out of stock for so long and now it's in stock, we got like everything that we ordered months ago came in at once. So when that happens, you get a special review. So I've addressed the special review and submitted the new PCR. And again, the appropriation issue it could still be an issue. So that may be negative again at the end of this month. But that's where those funds are. And let's see, nothing unusual in the bills paid this month. The appropriation adjustments, just to go over the significant items. In the general fund, I added appropriations for VASA Consulting, a UC contract. That was approved last month at the board meeting. So University of Cincinnati contracted with us for services. We turned around and contracted with VASA. So that is going to be fully reimbursed by University of Cincinnati. Then we come down to OT coverage, Sunbelt staffing. We actually have somebody going out on maternity leave. So we had to go through a staffing agency to get coverage for that this year. Those were the big things on there. That's all I have for right now. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions from board members?
How is it coming along with the superintendents deciding how they wanted to deal with the OT and other?
It's still a process. Currently, they're requested more information, and we had a meeting yesterday, and one of the thoughts is, well, maybe we can just do it less expensive if we just hire vendors. I don't believe that's the case, but I think we're gonna have to do sort of a request for quotes or something from multiple vendors to show the comparison, which is fine.
Okay.
I can go ahead and bill exactly how I have been billing. Just
Right.
because we're so late in the school year, they said to go ahead and catch up on billing, so that'll be done by the end of March.
So we're looking forward to the next year.
Right.
Okay. Because they're gonna, I think, have sticker shock at this point.
They do anyway.
Pardon?
They do anyway. I mean,
Okay.
you know, the crux of the conversation yesterday is that for districts to expect to increase the number of students they're sending, because all these districts in this county are increasing in ADM, and to expect that the cost is going to decrease is not sensible. So it is sticker shock for some of them, but we provide more detail than any ESC I know of. And it's really only a one, and to some extent the second district, that is continuing to struggle. So they did come to the consensus that for this year we would bill as we have, and that we will collect this additional information and we'll bring that back to them hopefully within the next 2 weeks, and try to come to consensus regarding what the consortium wants to do. You know, we're the service provider, so
Right.
we continue to use the process of providing them with the information, all the information they need, so that they can collectively make some shared decisions about how they want to move forward.
So is it a big or small district who's struggling?
Well, the consortium is small districts.
I see.
Big districts we have separate agreements with them. They're standalone.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Any additional financial questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Bartlett? Absent. Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Ms. Owens?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is new business. Need a motion and a second for the new business items, and followed by discussion.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Pierce, second by Mr. Fowler. Maria, I'll let you kind of wander through these, or go through these.
Nothing is really unusual. The one note I will make is that I believe that Laura had indicated when we had hired Amanda, what's Amanda's last name?
Johnson.
As a interim person while Lexi Reeves was on maternity leave, that Lexi was considering reducing her hours to part-time. She has made that decision, and item 9 reflects her excuse me, reduction in FTE.
Can I say something really quick on
Sure.
item 6, Brooke McKinley Nichols? She was an aide at Pick Preschool. So if you can make sure that's correct in the minutes.
Okay.
Sorry, that is correct. Otherwise, there is nothing remarkable regarding the items.
Any questions on any of the items?
Okay, I was looking back through the minutes. I'm not seeing it at the moment. Okay, the one where last month we had with you wanted to hire,
That's
and
Jennifer-
I think she
Jennifer
resigned, and then with the advent of getting vaccines, she wanted to accept.
Mhm. She's listed here under number 8. That was Jennifer Knoll.
Okay,
She took Brooke McKinley's place at Pickerington.
thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Bartlett? Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Miss Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Steiner?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is additional items as needed, but then we'll go to reports. And Marie, we'll let you go first.
Let me start with the vaccine clinic. So we conducted this last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the vaccine clinic, distributing the second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. It went incredibly smoothly, and a lot of positives back from folks. I do think at some point we need to formally recognize, and I am interested in recommending Fairfield Medical Center and all of their volunteer medical staff that help with this clinic as a recipient of essentially the friend of the ESC. So there's an award that's given each year by the ESC Association for community partners. They've been tremendous. We could not have asked for a better partner, and nothing but positives regardless of the district that we were working with. So we're glad that that's behind us. We have gotten no direction from the governor's office that we are to assist in the rollout of the vaccines for 16 to 18-year-olds. And for anybody who is a straggler who couldn't get their second dose because of maybe they got COVID in between, or maybe we had somebody with the stomach flu and just wasn't able to come, or they had a baby, then they will have the opportunity to go to a clinic in the community and schedule to get that vaccine. The sticky wicket with all that is if they've gotten dose 1, there's a certain window of time by which they need to get dose 2. So we're trying to navigate that and sort of be the conduit to help employees throughout the county if they need help with that. But if they've not gotten any doses at all, they'll be allowed to go to any of the entities that are out there that are providers of vaccines and just sign up as a general citizen. As you probably noted from the governor's conference yesterday, it's wide open now. I mean, pretty much anybody who wants a vaccine should be able to get one. So that's all good. We have a lot of folks in this agency to thank. Courtney was instrumental James Freeman was instrumental. And then we have a handful of staff that were instrumental in getting this done, working 13-hour days to
Wow.
make sure that they got rolled out. So kudos to everyone. It was very good.
Do you need board action for you to nominate them?
No, because it hasn't been released yet
Okay.
for the application. I'm just trying to think ahead in terms of the fact that I think we do need to formally recognize them in some way. The other two items I wanted to talk about in terms of grants is, if you recall back, I think it was 3 years ago, we got a Striving Readers Grant. That Striving Readers Grant was initially funded at just over $400,000 to support both the preschool in Lancaster City Schools and Learning Steps in the training of letters, which is a literacy approach, along with the purchase of all the materials and follow-up coaching for Michelle Huff to support implementation fidelity. We were contacted. ODE seems to have quick turnaround times on just about anything right now. Pardon? Except reimbursing Laura. But we were contacted essentially saying that there was a little bit of money that other recipients didn't use in a pot for the Striving Readers Grant. And if people had additional needs, please submit funding. So we had envisioned with the first grant being able to buy take-home books so that a lot of kids don't have books in their homes. And the teachers don't have books they can send back and forth. We have been awarded an additional $25,000 and potentially more. They said it would be 25 plus. And we are going to purchase those books that we wanted to be able to support children in having books home. So that was a nice little unexpected gift. The Martha Holden Jennings Foundation grant, that we should receive that award letter soon. We were just notified that our year 2 grant that we submitted to expand the PBL Matters work to additional teams from the districts has been funded. So we're receiving $30,000 to support the continuation of that work. I know that Dr. Dempsey already has teams interested in coming, and I think there are a couple of slots left, but I'm sure they will fill up pretty quickly. So that's really good news. The final thing is, and I'm not ready, I just got the award letter, so it's not on this agenda and it can certainly wait. But I was selected again as to receive a scholarship from the Schlechte Center. I think this has got to be like the 5th or the 6th time I've been selected in Ohio to receive this scholarship. And it will fund me to go to the July annual network meeting at a 4-day session at the Breakers in West Palm Beach. The only thing I am going to ask the board is that there's probably, depending on flights, because flights are really wonky right now in terms of trying to get flights, there might be a day on either end. So there might be essentially 2 days where I may ask if the board could cover hotel because of being able to get in and out, because the scholarship covers only the days that I'm there. Does that make sense? But obviously I haven't expended any of my annual allocation for conferences. So just giving you a heads up in that's on the horizon, but I do need to make the reservations soon. So I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't running into an issue with all of you as I move forward to get those arrangements made. And then finally, ESCs have been approached by the Ohio Department of Education to take on the responsibility for the distribution of ESSER funds for non-public schools. We did submit our paperwork saying that we were interested, and we're hoping we'll be able to take upwards of 10% indirect cost to manage it on the part of the non-publics. So that may be an award that's made in the next month. They seem a little behind in terms of finalizing the details, but we will keep you posted on that. So that's something we haven't done before. I know in Central Ohio, we have managed title dollars for different districts for non-public purchase of professional development and materials and that sort of thing. I'm not exactly sure what all is going to be entailed in the management and distribution of the non-public dollars from ESSER, but we are navigating right now, creating some systems and controls so that it's not just an ongoing flow of requests, but that we create some structures in terms of how that gets distributed. The plus side for an ESC, I believe, is that we now have the opportunity to really educate them and sell our own services to them. So it could be a win-win for the ESC. So just putting that on the backs of your minds in terms of where that could be going. Finally, regarding the salaries, I know that you're anxious in terms of what districts have decided regarding salary increases for next year. As a placeholder on the estimates that went to districts, as I'm conducting our annual meetings, we put 1% increase, but they have not made a decision. And I think it's going to be from 0 to 3 at this point in terms of where the districts fall out. There are too many districts still negotiating agreements, and the negotiations are all delayed because of COVID. So that's going to be sort of 24th hour decision, I believe, that's going to be made. We just try to be conservative, and nobody's really flinched at us putting 1% as a placeholder. That's all I have.
Any questions for Marie?
Yeah, let me check. With the vaccinations, we didn't do just teachers, right? Did we do, or did we do staff as well, or?
We did school staff. The only subgroups we were told we couldn't vaccinate were student teachers, board members, and we made a local decision regarding substitutes. They had to have worked this year 5 days or more. So we didn't vaccinate all subs. In total, we vaccinated about 2,400 people in 3 days.
That's amazing. That is great.
And so that included the non-publics as well, Charlotte. The non-public schools, we did vaccinate their school staff as well. Oh, we couldn't vaccinate the regular preschool staff. That was not allowed.
Right. What's ESSER?
ESSER is essentially, you hear on the news, the money that's getting distributed from the federal government is the COVID relief money to schools.
But it stands for every student succeeds.
Yeah, a recovery
act.
Okay. Okay.
But it's essentially, this is the third go. Remember, we had the initial distribution where under Trump's administration, the districts got an initial distribution, as did we. We got a little bit of gear money from the state. people in the public, I think they got what, $400 a person or whatever it was. The second go, districts got 4 times as much they got the first time under the Trump administration. And with this new allocation that was just approved at the front end of the Biden administration, districts are getting about 10 times what they got the first time. So we're really trying to push districts to really be incredibly thoughtful about how to use this as a huge opportunity to transform education and really move us forward, rather than the purchase of disposables items. So all the districts are right now working on the development of plans, and they will submit those accordingly, according to ODE's requirements. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. So, so actually, school districts are maybe feeling a little flush, even though they should be, again, as you say, thinking long-term about this money.
Yes, and the best part of the last pot of money that was distributed is it can be used through to 2023. So this, which is nice. The first 2 rounds, the timeline was so short, it really limited how you could use funds. So I think people are seeing this as a huge opportunity.
Any other questions for Marie? Eastland Fairfield, Ron and Mary.
Go ahead.
No, you promised.
Okay, I will. Ryan Gasser was hired at the meeting as the new communications director. He's coming from Capitol. He was the SID at Capitol, and he's now going to be the communications person. And they're also going to work with a company, Allenton Company, which is also a new communications company. Justin Gordon also did a little presentation, and he's a new IT person there. He's a Groveport grad who went to Kent State, went on with his IT, and has come back to work at Eastland. Did a really nice show. They had an actual presentation of the auto tech programs at Eastland and at Fairfield that was put on by the students, and it was a nice little presentation. They also got 2 large grants for their aviation program, which will be a part of the engineer aviation building that is now almost completely constructed. Dr. Miller is giving tours. If you call and make arrangements with somebody at the office, you can go through the new building. She did tours last week with the principals, and there was a few superintendents, she said, showed up to go through some of the programs that are new, as well as some of the programs that they've had at both Eastland and Fairfield. And then they had lunch there at the schools.
Is the aviation program just for high school or also adult?
Right now, it's just high school, but it will be a program that's going to be expanded into adult. Same thing with the fire program. The fire program right now will just be a student program, but they hope to expand that on. I talked to Angela just a minute after the meeting, and she was saying that they're looking at that, but they want to get it started as a student program first in all those cases. And then just for information's sake, they've got 520 apps, and 399 of them have been accepted at Eastland for next year already. They have 482 apps for Fairfield. 332 of those have been accepted. In other words, they have everything done. And the satellite program has 196 apps, and they have 130 of those people accepted.
Very good.
Very good, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
There were open houses held at both facilities on the 13th. I guess they were very well attended. The audit is complete. It was expected to be released on the 18th. It was expected to be clean. The restaurant at Eastland reopened on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. CARES money keeps rolling in. There was a $5,000 deductible paid for the collapsed wall. The insurance claim for this is from the building construction of a year ago.
And it collapsed during the storm.
Right, I remember.
Insurance claim was $282,500. Let's see.
You can follow up on it.
They had a couple little things.
That's good.
I guess, and it's made the media, I guess on 10 TV, that there were some tensions at both facilities. I think it started first at Eastland on social media, and then I guess there was a protest held at Fairfield yesterday, and I guess they closed the facility for at least one period during that time. But it was a
Mentions about what?
Racism.
I don't hear.
Yeah, Charlotte.
So protests about like Atlanta, or protests about something at the school?
No, it was something that was posted on social media that was picked up by the students, and then it was discussed the prior week, and then it rolled into this week. So,
And it was about something at the career center?
something that happened on social media to start with. It was outside the facility to begin with.
Okay, but it involves students at the career center that were interacting with each other.
Correct.
Okay.
But we've had quite a few pieces of documents sent to us. So.
Yeah, Kim sent us a lot of things on it. I mean, anything they investigated it and so on.
The police were actually called by somebody outside the facility at Fairfield yesterday. The police arrived and realized there was no reason for them to be there, and they left. So.
That's good. Thank you both. Any other questions in regards to Eastland? Any other?
You had all these great numbers. Is that how is that as far as what space they have or what they're looking for, or?
The numbers, as far as I looked at the previous ones, is about in the same ballpark. They're not much higher, which Teresa had said she didn't think they'd be much higher just because of COVID. See, they didn't do the visitations like they did. They were just hoping to hold the line this year. And they didn't have anybody really doing communications other than Teresa. So with no visitations and so on, she felt that these numbers were reasonable, definitely. And they're still getting them. You know, it's not like it's shut off yet or anything.
Yeah.
But she said if they could keep up with the number they had last year as entrants, they felt they were doing pretty well considering COVID.
All right, well, let's go around. Any other questions, Ron? Mary?
Well, I'll say about where I was, what I did yesterday for 3 hours.
Okay.
I'm on a council with Rick Lewis as the Ohio School Board member cabinet. There's 3 representatives from each of the regions. And we had a speaker on our Zoom thing yesterday, was Jamie Chandler and Bride Rose Sweeney, who are the 2 sponsors of the new House Bill 1, which is the restructuring financing schools. It's similar to the Patterson bill, which never went anywhere last session, but there has been some revisions made. And one of the suggestions they made yesterday before the Zoom meeting was to go online to the Ohio legislature bills, and then go to the House, and then go to House Bill 1, and they'll list, you can read the whole bill, which is almost 400 pages long. You can read another synopsis, which was 100 and some pages long, or you can do the physical note, which is what I printed up, and it's not that long, but it does definitely explain the bill very well. And the reason that they really want to get the information out, both the legislators said, is it's not going to have a problem passing the House, and they may have it passed before they go on spring break, which is a week from Friday. If they don't, they shortly will after, and then it'll go to the Senate. The Senate's where they think the problems are going to be, and so it won't even get into the biennium budget bill if the Senate doesn't move on it. So they wanted us to contact our state senators and really, encourage them to look at this bill, because this has some good structure of refinancing school, which goes clear back to the Adolpha thing, which was in 1997, which I think is really interesting, because that was the year I retired from Groveport, and I testified in that thing. And it's still not resolved, and that was 27 years ago. So they're encouraging us to try to get, there's only 7 Democratic senators. So they said from that standpoint, it's not going to be, it's going to be a struggle, but we do need to get school financing. And then they gave some reports on some of the other bills that are pending. None of them at this point are, have moved too much because some even haven't had hearings yet. But this is the thing that's really important. And so they encouraged us to print this up and read through it. And like I say, this was easy to read. I wouldn't go read 400 pages. I mean, I'm so dedicated to schools to a point. I did it 41 years. I mean, there was times when I had to sit and read things that they said for me, but I'm like done with that. So, but I just wanted to let you know, and I'll keep you up to date. We'll have a meeting every other month with this group. And it was interesting to hear both of these legislators. They did a nice job.
Charlotte, anything else?
Oh, I was just going to add on House Bill 1. You know, it got very, very strong bipartisan support. I mean, you know, Republicans should care about the rural schools if that's where they're coming from in the House. But really, the concern is the Senate president, who's the voucher king.
And that's what Mr. Chandler said yesterday. He's a Republican. Mrs. Sweeney is a Democrat, but she said they've got their parties together in the House.
So this is changing the subject. You know, Marie, you talked about last time that the let's see, what Forest Rose class and some of the classrooms that have been at Bloom are going to be at the building in Lithopolis.
So
Is that right?
the Lithopolis building, we're continuing to plan for that. All of the Bloom Carroll preschool classrooms will be housed in that building. We'll start with 3 classrooms, though with growth, we may have 4 by the time fall comes. And the Prep for Success program will move from Forest Rose to the Lithopolis building.
So is Bloom just going to continue to consider that one of their school buildings and do the, you know, upkeep and all that, or is this a kind of, you know,
Sort of
year
like
to
a
year thing?
condo arrangement. They'll take care of the building and the grounds and everything on the outside and, you know, basic infrastructure and support, and we'll manage everything on the inside.
So we're expecting this to kind of be an ongoing thing, not just for a year or 2.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think that was really, Sean was sort of smart in terms of knowing that the community has a love for that building. And they actually held I attended it. One of their meetings was in the basement of that building, which is in the cafeteria, which is a horrible space. It is. But animals shouldn't be down there. But I think it was sort of a give. You pass the levy to let us build a new building, and we'll maintain this in some extent for a community purpose. So we needed space, so it's working out well. Bloom Carroll Preschool is busting at the seams, so I think it's all good.
Is the multiple disability classroom staying at the high school?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any concern about the mixing the preschool with the Prep for Success?
No, because right now at Forest Rose, Prep for Success is with preschoolers in the Forest Rose building. We've never had an incident. Actually, I think it helps to temper our kids' behavior. They're very kind. They like to go and read to the younger kiddos. We don't have those issues.
Oh, cool. Okay, great.
And
Okay.
scheduling and whatnot, they won't be on the playground at the same time, and preschoolers eat in their rooms. I don't see it as an issue at all.
Okay. Okay.
We'll have Prep for Success will be down if you're standing looking at the building, the Prep for Success classrooms will be down to the left, and the preschool will be on that wing to the right. So there'll be a separation.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Hearing no other questions, could we have a motion for adjournment, please? I'll make it. So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Mr.
Who
Fowler.
was the first?
I did.
Oh,
Sorry.
Roll call.
Mr. Bartlett's absent. Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce? Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Very good.
And may I say thank you for all the great work of the vaccinations and all you've been doing during the pandemic.
thank you.